Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Derek Williams, and we are here at MEP Live. Today's subject is a parent's perspective. Parents of prospective students get an opportunity to have a heart-to-heart conversation with parents of current and alumni MEP students in an unscripted parent-to-parent conversation about topics that are important to parents. So this means we do have a chat over on the side. And for those who are not familiar with Zoom, down if you take your cursor toward the bottom, you'll see chat. Feel free to ask your questions and we'll be monitoring your questions. So first of all, I'd like to introduce our panelists. So as we call your name, we'd like for you to wave. Matter of fact, you know what, I think we might do better. I'll call your name. If you don't start, I'll just have you introduce yourself, tell us your student and what his major is. So if we could start with Yemi, Mrs. Etta, Yemi.
I'm sorry. Yeah, my son Kama is well, he'll be a sophomore next year. He's a freshman, completing his first year engineering, and will be he's been accepted in the civil engineering program.
So. Yay! Clap, 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 clap.
Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah. And now we have Adriana Gonzalez.
Yes, my son, he's finishing up first year engineering and he's going to apply to the mechanical engineering program.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, we have husband and wife, Christina and Valentine Ledesma.
Yep, our daughter is Tori Ledesma. She's just finishing up first year engineering and looking towards industrial engineering as her major.
That's great. Stacy.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My son is Malik Washington, and he is chemical engineering. He was a direct admit, and he will be a sophomore next year.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, Emily.
Hi, I have a freshman engineering student at Purdue this year, and she plans to go into environmental engineering.
Excellent. Julie.
Good evening, everybody. Our son is Sean Washington, and he's also chemical engineering, and he's finishing his first year and will be doing his co-op in the fall with Exxon in Texas.
That's wonderful. These are our panelists. Hosting this discussion today is Virginia Booth Womack, who is the director of the Minority Engineering Program, which we affectionately call MEP. Virginia.
Hello, everyone. It's good to have everybody on the call today. I was sitting here going through some of the notes from our earlier talk with parents, and I would like for those that have joined us that were not in the earlier talk, if you have a particular question, at the end of the day, we want to make sure we answer the questions that you have as compared to those items that we had in mind to share. I see, Rashawn, have you said anything? I remember you from Promise.
I have not said anything yet. Hi to Emily. My son's name is Joshua. He'll be a freshman in environmental engineering as well this coming year. But thank you. Thank you for hosting this for us.
So he pushed the deal button, huh? He's coming to Purdue.
He pushed the deal button. Yes, ma'am. That is correct.
I'm going to clap my hands on that one. And I want all the other parents that are on the call, if you can, and even if you're a student, I want you to introduce yourself and let us know your status. And if you have any unique question, please let me know so that we can make sure to include that. Okay, so who's followed Fuad Q?
I'm a parent. My name is Olufunke Akinleye.
Okay.
And I have a son who is going to be a freshman. He have accepted the offer and is looking forward to go to aeronautic engineering.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Next parent.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
I am a upcoming freshman. I could not, my parents are working right now, so I'm the one who's attending this.
Right.
Okay, nice to have you on board. I think we have McDaniels. Yes, go ahead. I have Kristen Adler. Kristen or Kristen's iPhone.
Maybe I can go if you want. I don't know if you can hear me. This is
Yes.
Diego. I'm the parent of Gabriela Donoso,
Okay.
and she is deciding in a few days where to go. And Purdue is a top choice for mechanical engineering.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. And I think we have everyone. Okay, so I'm going to have Derek share the screen for the agenda items that we had set forward. And we'll get started. I'm looking for your PowerPoint.
Yes. I can't find it, so I'm going to go ahead and do it in a different format. Let me go ahead and share the screen right now.
Okay, so academic preparation. For the parents that have students that are currently at Purdue, how prepared do you feel your child was, or what key events helped your child sort of hone up their preparation for Purdue? And I'll just let you guys go on your own. All you have to do is unmute and then begin to talk.
I'll start. This is Julie. So there were two probably important pieces that Sean had articulated. The first one is around coding. So in our high school, he had not taken any coding classes. And so the coding session through last summer's program was very helpful for the class he then took in the fall. So we underscored that because that was something he was not familiar with, but it was very helpful because he entered the class very prepared. The second piece is the relationship I think he built both on math and science, but Mary Beth not only was great during the summer, but she continued with the MEP students during the fall and provided support for them during the coursework. And so I think it's the continuation and the connectivity that happened both in the summer as well as what they received when they were sort of, students as the freshmen. And I think the last one would be that the students that were there during the summer as assistant teachers were very helpful in ensuring that everyone was learning at their appropriate pace, but also that they retained and understood the material. So those are probably the three headlines from a preparation standpoint.
Okay, and who is Mary Beth? Because some of the new parents may not know.
She's one of the chemistry professors. She might actually be a chair in some aspect of chemistry, but she actually did the chemistry class for the summer, and then she continued to invest in the students in the fall.
Yes, so Mary Beth does work for the chemistry department, and we were really happy to have her come on board last year. And at the end of the camp, she came and said, "This is fantastic. Please let me do it again." And she didn't have to even ask. So we're glad to have her back again this summer. And yes, she came during the school year, especially before exams, to make sure the students were focused and understand the basic concepts and were prepared to go in and do that exam. And I will say the boot camp average for the last year's camp was a 3.2, and that was amazing. So we really number one, applaud the students because they weren't sleeping or anything. They were staying on the case until they got their work done. It's pretty competitive, but it was friendly competition. So another parent can talk about the adjustment for you, and I'd like for each one to give comment on that if you can.
I think I'll go. This is Yemi. I felt that the adjustment started from attending the boot camp. I think that there is a big transition from high school going into college, and doing it in that kind of structured environment was very, very helpful for my son, especially when it was at that level. It was still at the college level, but it enabled them to understand the various opportunities that they had in navigating through that, which included things like attending, office hours, or learning how to, go to office hours, learning how to identify when there were challenges, and going and talking to tutors, uh, academic tutors in their own courses, as well as coming to MEP, which has also a program where you can actually get in and meet a upperclassman that can help you through whatever major challenge or slight challenge that you might have at that point in time. I think that was also very helpful. I felt that the adjustment the adjustment also is not just academic, but also social. Them living together and developing their relationship with each other, so that by the time they got back in the school year, at least knowing, because now it might be virtual, I don't know how you're going to do it exactly, but I mean, knowing that people outside of just you coming away from out of state. We live in the DC area, so it is a distance in the sense that he didn't really have anybody that he knew going to Purdue at that point in time, and then creating that working group and friend group to navigate through the MEP program through the college, especially as minorities within that environment, made it very comfortable adjusting. I think that was very important. And going through the year, you find that the support was still constant between the MEP staff and the upperclassmen and their own classmates, so it's across the board. I think that was good. So.
Thank you.
And hi, this is Gonzalez again. One of the things that I think that most helped my son Alexander, and again, he also did the boot camp, is just understanding how to structure his day. He had issues with time management and just organization. And so, when you're in high school, your day is structured, you're what classes you need to go to, and then in the evening you study or not. But here in the program, and it translated into the first semester, he learned how, I have to go to class, and then I need to study, and what are the tools for studying. And then I have to just things like basic, like eating, and how to incorporate eating in the schedule, exercising, those kinds of things. So at least for us, it was just, how do you create your schedule, incorporating not only the academic pieces, but some of the other pieces as well.
Okay, thank you. And I think this is a humor side note. Alex got injured, and the boy would not follow the doctor's instructions. What did he do? Sprain his ankle or something? And mom called and said, stay off of the bike. And sure enough, you go right out get on the bike. So that kind of stuff happens. And it really wasn't funny because he needed to not push himself, and you just can't get kids to do that. And that becomes difficult even for me to know how to manage it. But he's fine. He got through it, and he's
Yes, he did.
a regular boy. But
Definitely.
And you know what? On that note, I have to speak up here. We had something similar to happen to our son Malik. I first of all, I'd just like to say I think the overall experience for him over the summer was fabulous. You know, he, from his own mouth, he said that he is so happy that he participated in the summer program. Last summer, he had the opportunity to work for Eli Lilly, which is, you know, one of the companies that he aspires to work for after he gets out of college. And so, given that opportunity to work for Eli Lilly, I mean, we were juggling, you know, we had the dilemma of, do we let him go and start his, you know, start making a name for himself by working at Eli Lilly, or do we let him attend the summer boot camp? And we went back and forth. And I tell you, you know, between Virginia and Derek and just the entire MEP staff, we were so impressed. And, you know, I knew that we were leaving him in good hands. And, you know, for him, the main thing was knowing that he needed to reach out. The help is there for him. I mean, MEP, they're there to do whatever your child, you know, whatever they need, they're there, but they have to be willing to reach out, which is what we really expressed to Malik. You know, you've got the help there. And there was one parent that spoke last year that really, you know, spoke to me, because with our son, and I'm sure just like a lot of your students as well, he was always a great student and never had to ask for help. I mean, I think high school was pretty much a breeze for him, and it was a pretty rigorous program, the high school that he went to. So coming into, you know, Purdue, we knew that it was going to be a huge challenge for him. We knew that it was going to push him beyond his limits in terms of needing to ask for help, number one, and, you know, not feeling bad for having to ask for the help because he doesn't know everything. And so with that being said, we made the decision, you know, well, Malik made the decision to attend the summer boot camp. And I tell you, I mean, it was challenging. And, you know, like Virginia said in the beginning, there were times where he didn't sleep. I mean, it was very rigorous. But at the end of the program, he did say that he was so happy that he went through that program, because had he not gone through the program, he really felt like he would have been lost his first semester in college. And so, you know, even though he didn't get high school or college credit, I'm sorry, even though he didn't get college credit for taking those classes over the summer, it was such a big benefit for him to actually go through those courses and get a head start. And so, you know, he finished out his first semester. He did really well. And you know, from a adjustment standpoint, a preparation standpoint, a maturity standpoint, you know, it definitely helped him. You know, and the funny story that I was getting at, you know, with in terms of him hurting himself on campus, he had a bike on campus, he had a skateboard on campus, and I'm sure he has a broken wrist and maybe a couple of fractured ribs as well, because he did fall off of his bike a number of times. He flew off of his skateboard a number of times into a fire hydrant and hurt his ribs. But, you know, I think at the end of the day, he's made wonderful friends. And I have to attribute that all to MEP, because had he not gone through the summer program, he would not have been as prepared from a, you know, standpoint of, you know, taking these classes and being able to do well in those classes. He also made good friends. And so him and his roommate, you know, they had a great freshman year, you know, and unfortunately they're home now, but it's just been a wonderful experience for him. So again, I have to thank Virginia and Derek and all of the MEP staff for, helping us to feel comfortable with our decision in sending him there. And he's flourishing, and he's definitely coming into his own.
Thank you, Stacy, for sharing that. And all of the students that come to Purdue don't come through the boot camp, and many of them are just as successful. Um, I like to, and I didn't pay any of these parents to say what they're saying, and they're speaking from their heart. But just know that there are students that come here, but because there's already a inclusive environment, when these students see other students, they just suck them right in, and you just want that sense of community. And we've been doing the boot camp now for 15 years. So for the students that come in, the sophomores, juniors, and seniors all have boot campers, and they also reach and embrace. So it just created a different kind of an atmosphere, so that whether you go to the camp or not, you will experience some positive, uh, inclusive. There's one thing to talk about diversity and inclusion, and it's another thing for it to be genuine. It's not something we're trying to do. It's actually the way the students feel about each other. And I'm glad that that's happening. Emily, I wanted you to share your experiences. Not only do you have children at Purdue, but you work for Purdue. I think you're still working for Purdue. Give us some feedback on that adjustment period for your children.
Sure. So I can talk a little bit more. I mentioned in the introduction that I have daughters in freshman and first year engineering. I also have a daughter at Purdue who's a junior in creative writing through the College of Liberal Arts. And then I have two son and daughter that already graduated from Purdue. So we're a Boilermaker family. And my oldest son graduated from mechanical engineering, works for Fiat Chrysler Automotive headquarters in Michigan. My other daughter, she started out with chemical engineering. She did end up switching to environmental science through the College of Ag, but she was in engineering for 3 years. And my 3 out of 4 children did attend minority engineering program, gained a lot of great information from it. As far as some of the adjustment period, the adjustment hardest part is just as one of the parents already mentioned, is that in high school, it's so much easier. And when you go to college, it's a big adjustment, because even if your high school program is rigorous, when you come to college, it is just much more demanding. And that's one of the things, we haven't talked a lot right now about the COVID and the students having to return home. But my daughter, that's a freshman at Purdue, did not want to come home because she loved the collaborative environment of being with students on campus and having access to faculty. So I would say that's been her hardest adjustment, was actually having to come back home. So she had adjusted to campus, made friends through minority engineering program, but also through the Boiler Gold Rush. And she had a great core group of friends. And so to come home was really challenging. So they've been trying to still adjust to this new role by doing video calls and things. So she's had several different adjustments to her freshman year.
Thank you so much for sharing that, getting different perspectives. I think, have we gone through all the parents that are current parents of students? Did I miss anyone?
It's Val and Christina. Yeah, I think we agree with everything that's been said. I think one of the unexpected benefits for us with Tori, at her high school, there's not a whole lot of diversity, and I think one of the great benefits of having done the boot camp and been at Purdue is just all the different communities that she has participated in. So we were all happy to see her, just continuing to embrace, attending, go to the MEP office, interfacing with, upperclassmen, getting that support. She joined NESB and it's continuing to be involved there. She looked at other organizations, but she definitely has made a deliberate effort of having a wide array of different communities that she participates in. And so that's been a very pleasant surprise. You know, just from my experience 25 years ago there and with Christina, I think the campus has come a long way in kind of embracing that multicultural, just a lot of different diversity in communities. So I'm happy to say, you know, her experience, I think, is a lot more positive, I think, than, I mean, I had a great experience, but I think hers is even better than what I experienced.
And for me, I wanted her to have a strong MEP tie because MEP was a very big part of my experience at Purdue.
Mm-hmm. Okay, have we touched all the current parents? Thank you all for your feedback and for your encouragement. And I am going to open this up to those that are prospective parents and students. And so I've got the question, what is diversity in terms of wealth? What is diversity in terms of wealth? Well, as you know, diversity can apply to many different characteristics. So if you're asking for the breakdown of socioeconomic status, and rich students to poor students, that was the actual question. Are you asking for the ratio of rich to poor? Yes. I would give a guess that it's probably 80% rich to 20% poor, but it depends on what you mean by poor and what you mean by rich, because those terms are different in different people's minds. Why don't you talk to us? Just go ahead and take your mic off and talk to us.
Sorry, my mic is not very good. Can you guys hear me?
You sound great.
All right. So it seems like there's a lot of students that are coming in with their parents paying for it, but my parents have a little 529 for me, and then that's pretty much it. What can I do to fix that?
That your parents have what? I didn't hear that sentence.
There's a 529 savings that is being left for me for when I go to college.
Okay, so your question then now is, what is the percentage of need-based students? And high need can be as much as full tuition to a couple of thousand based on parents' expected family contribution. So we do have, especially amongst the underrepresented minority populations, we have very high need. And even for parents that are considered not needing any type of financial support, they probably argue that. But on this call, I don't have a stratification of wealth, but wealth in terms of Purdue can be a son of a king from Iran, or it could be very high wealth, and it could be someone that's a CEO in the United States, or it could just be a two-parent family that make over $300,000-400,000 a year. It's a very hard range, but if you're asking for scholarship support and for support in trying to navigate your way through Purdue, that's one of the things that we do in MEP. We try to help students navigate their way through college. Can't make promises in terms of scholarships, et cetera, but if there are monies out there that you fit the criteria for, we'll make sure to send that out to students. For example, a company may have an internship and they want anyone that's a sophomore, and they may say any engineering major. Well, I'll send that out to all sophomores, no matter what their engineering major is. And then it's up to them to respond to that request and to submit a resume to that company. So that kind of a service is something that we do And we also hire students at MEP because some students, even after they meet the basics to get to Purdue, they could use a little pocket change. So I probably dispense from 80 to 100,000 a year just hiring students. And I'm able to do that because we have alums that give to the Purdue MEP program. So that amount varies from year to year as to how many people I can hire. Students come in on work study, which means they qualify for work study loans. And instead of taking the loan, you can work it off. And MEP hires work study students. I'd rather, if you have to work, to be in an environment where you're not necessarily working in a restaurant, but you can work in a place that also has academic atmosphere to it. So support we have for you, and I don't want that to be something that you feel any level of apprehension in asking for. But I know that it is a struggle for a lot of families and a lot of students that don't want to lean on their parents or really can't lean on their parents. So I'm hoping that these answers are helpful to you. And if not, let me know how else I can answer your question.
All right, thanks.
Okay, and to his point, a lot of students that come to college, their parents pay for it. But there are students that come and they actually have no parental assistance. And there is need-based money for you that is sort of earmarked for students that have no parental support at all. And believe me, we have plenty of students that are in that category. So if you have questions, you can send me a note offline. I'll put my email in the chat for you and we can continue the discussion, okay?
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. All right, any other incoming prospective students or parents that have questions to what we just shared and what the other parents have shared? I just want you to unmute and go ahead and share your question.
Hi, this is Russ McClymont. My son Malcolm just accepted his admittance into Purdue. He'll be there in the fall. First year engineering, looking to do computer engineering. So my son, he's from the Bay. We're from the Bay Area. Grew up in the Bay Area. Goes to a high achieving high school that's 20% Black. What type of cultural shock is he in? Come being a Black kid from Oakland, going out to Indiana, and what's the best way to prepare him for it?
Oh, so I think everybody can take a bite at that one. And I'll start out by, I always use this example because this particular year blew me away. We had 1,800 incoming freshmen in 2013. And out of that 1,800 that were admitted to Purdue, only 19 were Black. And for a lot of parents, when I shared that with them, especially for that year, they had to sit back and go, whoa, you gotta be kidding me. Now that was a low year. So we haven't had a year like that since. And, but the percentage of Blacks in terms of the incoming freshman class is typically under 2%. And 2% of 1,800 would be what is that, 36? So that's not a lot, but I like for a student to go ahead and wrap their heads around it and just know that if you got into Purdue, you're one of the smartest kids in the nation. And so you come in here with your chest ready to, to demonstrate that you're not here by mistake and your performance is not contingent upon how you look. It's just being prepared for the environment. So it is a bit of a shock for students and for a lot of parents, just the fact that it's in the heart of Indiana. I tell you what, you can't beat the corn. The corn in Indiana is off the chain, but that doesn't help you when you're wondering. But we have a lot of issues that are common in the country, but I haven't seen anything that gives me fear, in terms of if some parents wonder about racism and student relations. We're one of the highest internationally populated schools in the nation. So you will meet students from all over the world. And that makes the university very interesting. And we just encourage students to get to know other students from other countries, you know, befriend them, they'll befriend you, and just broaden your horizons of who you know. And, you know, yes, you're African American, but you're going to meet students from all ethnicities that really will relate to you and value who you are as a person. So we just try to build up who that individual is. Who are you? And stand on that framework. And you represent a line of family members. So when students come in, they know that they're not standing by themselves. I'm going to stop and let some of the other parents address that if you've had that to deal with.
Can I ask a question before one of the other parents starts about that?
Yes.
So I think I'm just going to piggyback off of what he says. I'm actually extremely afraid for my son to attend this school, and he did accept it. And as much as I try to push him to accept one of the schools on the West or East Coast, you know, we live in a Philadelphia suburb. His high school is predominantly Black, and the kids are bright, but I can't recall a time in his life when he's been a minority in the school system. And I am glad, because it sounds like, you know, within the MEP, he will be surrounded with other bright African-American or just people of color, which is a great thing. But me as his mother, I was not happy with this choice, but I'm going to accept it because I have every stereotypical opinion about the Midwest and Indiana being a red state. I'm looking for specifics on what the school is going to do in regards to providing support if he encounters something racist, if someone is yelling out his name. This is something he has never heard or been through. And I am afraid, what if he drives? What if he wears his hoodie? You know, this kid wears a hoodie all the time and he's tall. My son is 6'3". Black man. What's going to happen if they see him walking around at night? Is he going to be asked to show his ID? Is he going to be threatened? If he happens to not have his ID, what happens? And I think that's really what's scaring me the most. I like what I'm hearing in regards to everything else, but I want to know on a personal level that he's going to be able to function. And if he can't, where can he go for support?
That's a very real concern. And I just really thank you for just being brutally honest about your concerns. A lot of parents have those same feelings, but don't necessarily verbalize it. And I think a better person to answer, I mean, I can tell you all day, we got you, we got your back, you don't have to worry about a thing, but that's not really going to be convincing until you're in the situation and you have to work through some of those issues. I will say that I've had cases where students have gotten in trouble, and I'm typically the first person that's called. And I've gotten out of my bed at 2 a.m. It doesn't matter whether they're in the hospital. I sat in the hospital room with a kid for 2.5 hours, and we thought he was having a heart attack. But you know, after all the testing, you know, they put him through some exercises and moved his legs around. And after he passed gas, he was fine. But we all thought he was really about to check out. So the parents, they actually drove up, and we were all in the hospital, and we laughed about it, but they were afraid. And that son has now graduated, he's in grad school, and he came with the same fears. So I just tell parents that, you know, even as they go out in the corporate environment, they're going to be, if they're an engineer, they'll probably be surrounded by people that don't look like them. And one thing about the Purdue environment, it will prepare you to overcome. There's some things that you fear because it's in your mind and you just are afraid. And there are other things that really happen. And I don't have too many of those incidents that really happen. I have seen and heard of swastikas that may show up on campus, but that's the extent of it. No one came behind it, no one said anything. So, you know, I talked to the students, how did you feel about that? We do have counseling services if students do have experiences. we have the dean's office, and there's a lot of conversation. And I'll say this, I went to Purdue back in the day, but what I see now in terms of concern and conversation and people stepping up and really speaking out that are not people of color, they're not having it. And I love that because I didn't see that before. If there's an incident on campus, my office is full of white faculty. What can we do? And I'm like, this is great. So, you know, it's not just a problem that is on Purdue's campus, it's across the country.
Yeah.
And I've had students that were stopped by the police, and any student may be asked for identification, but I haven't had a student that got assaulted because of that. And, you know, I tell students there are things you need to stay away from. I mean, anywhere you go, you're going to find marijuana and all of this stuff. And kids think, you know, they can just get caught up in that. And that doesn't happen a lot, but I actually had, since I've been here, 2 occasions where that has come up. And I'm glad it's only 2 because I've been here 15 years. But the students that come here, that come from families where they already know how to handle themselves, that's one thing. But you're right, if you've never been in the environment, you may have some apprehension. And we do our best to cultivate that, especially in the boot camp. And I know we're not in a place where they can come down and actually experience the campus first, but we're going to actually deal with some of those issues during the boot camp this year. And students will get a chance to socialize virtually. I guess that's better than nothing. I'm not sure that I've answered your question to your satisfaction, but I do want some other parents to chime in if you've had those concerns.
Yeah, I think that I'd like to comment on that because we're coming from the DC area. And so, I mean, of course, any school that is a strong engineering school is going to be a PWI. So that's the first challenge that we have, no matter where we go within the country. But one of the things that I found when we came over to Purdue for the preview, well, we didn't go for the preview, but we came in and we walked to the MEP office. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we walked to the MEP office, you know, and we met Dr. Booth. And I mean, for me, we just felt comfortable because knowing that there's a service as an office that our kids can go to and our kids can, you know, discuss any concerns that they have. And there's guidance there. There's also, as I mentioned earlier, mentorship there with all the kids that look just like them, you know, who have already had similar experiences or not, you know, because they're also coming from different places. We kind of felt comfortable, you know, deciding on, or he actually felt very comfortable deciding on Purdue. And, you know, with that, I was comfortable and his dad was comfortable as well, you know, with that decision. So I get your concern because we are coming from a place where we see a lot of diversity, you know, on the East Coast. And so we do have views about the Midwest. I mean, that's the way it is. But I think that just the fact that all the PWIs are, I mean, all the strong engineering schools are in that state. But the fact is that Purdue has a very strong minority engineering program compared to a lot of the others that, you know, I've heard of and I've been told about by other parents when I even share our experience at Purdue, you know. That support is very, very critical. I just wanted to say that. So I understand where you're coming from and we're in similar environments.
So I'll add to it. This is Julie. So I had a similar concern. So I forget which session I attended. I want to say it was in January, February for admitted students. I actually went to the police department. So I wanted to know from the police themselves, how do they keep our students safe? And I want to know, what does it mean to be a Black boy and be safe on your campus? And so they were able to provide me the understanding. And I think the officer that I talked to even gave me a magnet that told me, you know, here's the number you ever need to call. It's sort of like the pharmacy number, but you can actually know that we're here on behalf of all of the Boilermakers. So that was one piece that I didn't just go by the booklet. I actually talked to somebody. But then the second piece, so my son is over 6 as well. He does not call home every day. And he would go to the gym at 11 o'clock at night. And I am like, why would you do that? you know, I'm thinking you're putting yourself in a tough situation and you're going by yourself. And he doesn't wear a hoodie, but he would always usually have his Jimmy Johnson hat on. And so he had something else that could cause him, in my mind, to just be called out. And it has been just a great experience for him. No issues. The other piece is Miss Womack does not play. Once you see her in action at MEP, you know when they talk about discipline and what the students need to understand, both during the time of the summer, to what she is expecting of them during their time at Purdue as a full-time student, you know that she's watching them, knows what's going on. And so I knew right then that if I wasn't there, there was a surrogate mother that was there that would take care of business and wouldn't even have to ask me for permission. She would do what I think I would want to have done. So I would tell you, you can relax the fear, the concern. And we are from Cincinnati, but lived in Boston prior to. So fully understand the various places that we've lived. And to the gentleman that asked the initial question from San Francisco and the adjustments, because even if you're far away, no matter if it's a 5-hour drive or a 10-hour drive, you still can't get to your student really quickly. But know that the MEP family is legit. And my son's birthday is a day, and I can't tell you how many of his fellow boot campers have actually contacted him. And Kimmy, whose mom is on the line, they were roommates. So the relationships continue whether they're on campus or they're not. And I believe that that would not be the thing that should cause you a sleep loss issue.
Yeah.
No, thank you for all of that. Setting my mind a little bit at ease. That's going to take me some time, but I do appreciate the feedback, and it seems very sincere and heartfelt. So I'll definitely, I'm trying not to micromanage him when he's at school. That's something I've never done, but I feel like I'm gonna be flying out to Chicago every other weekend, and I don't want to do that. But
Yeah.
thank you.
Are there any other parents that would like to share? So I do want to go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. This is Rayshawn Hardy. I was actually born and bred in the Midwest in Michigan. Grew up in Detroit, and my son, who will be first year this year as well, had concerns as well. Well, I had concerns, and one of the things I did was when I visited the MEP program was to get around campus on my own. I had the opportunity to meet a gentleman by the name of Rodney Lynch. And he's one of the preachers on campus. I guess they have different denominations, and this is not about what you believe or do not believe. But I just had a chance to talk with him. And he was from New Jersey and East Coast, and he was saying that people will have their concerns. It's a real city, just like any other city. It has its challenges, it has its ups and its downs. And he began to talk to me about, did I know somebody named Booth? I'm like, no, I don't know Booth. And come to find out, he was talking about Ms. Womack, which I didn't know was Ms. Booth as well. But there's a connectivity of people who are in a certain genre that made me feel real good. So there are some other resources, and it seems that folks are reaching out to folks who would like to make sure that everybody is safe. So I know I'll be making that 4.5 trek often, and we'll be looking to help out where I can as well, not just my kids. So for what it's worth.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I will share one case that I think it's okay to talk about. But I did have a student that got in trouble with the law. And he didn't want to tell me about it. And, but I could look at him and tell something was wrong. And I called him in the office, and he didn't want to talk. And he was like, I said, look, son, I don't know what's going on, but just know if you need to talk about something, I'm here. And he left out, and he kept hanging around the door. Then finally he came in, and he had gotten in some trouble. And, you know, it was something that he initiated, and he had to go and turn himself in to the police. And so I took him, and we got it straight. He was released, and they dropped everything. I just had to have a conversation, and he understood what he did wrong, that shouldn't have happened. And usually if something like that happens, they'll just ask you to go and talk to a counselor and make sure you're okay. And once you do that, they know that, okay, this was just one of those things, and there was nothing against his record. And now in this case, he was not arrested or anything, but I told him he needs to tell his dad what happened so that his parents know. And we're in a place where with FERPA, we can't disclose students' experiences. So the fact that you have the connection with your son is important, because sometimes they do get in situations and they just don't know what to do. And fortunately, for those cases that have happened, there was no incident. And I know the right people on campus. If something's going on, as long as the student does not resist, and these are cases where they came to me and said, yes, I did A, B, or C. But I haven't seen cases where students are accosted and they're just simply walking on campus, and that's good. So it goes two ways. I like that when there were cases where there could have been punitive and some hardship, it didn't happen. And that told me again something about Purdue being different, because I went here as an undergrad. And when I went here, it was in the late 70s, early 80s. So it was crazy. But it's a different campus, and I appreciate the differences that I see, but I still see what's going on in the world. So I'm not naive, but when the students come to campus, there's this, I'm free, I can make my own decisions kind of thing that goes on that I can't interrupt. I don't chase students around or force them to come and talk to me. I try not to be invasive. That's why, the students that have a good relationship with their parents, I know they're going to connect and they're going to try to figure it out. But the day-to-day stuff, I just haven't seen it. But you can, when he comes to campus, he will meet a lot of other students and he'll be able to have those conversations. What he may hear from other students might be stuff that I never knew happened. But, so I wouldn't be surprised if there are things that are happening with students, but I just haven't seen anyone that's been in trouble. Are there any other bits of feedback that we have for, is your name Lotus, Miss Gibbs? Miss Gibbs?
Yes, my son's name is Kai Gibbs. So
Kai Gibbs?
yes.
Okay.
No, I think you've answered it for the most part. I know he thinks I'm being paranoid and he'll be fine, but as somebody who went to a PWI myself, I'm trying to explain to him that it is not the same. No matter how much we think in our head that we're ready, when you get there, and the numbers at this institution are so much, in regards to Black representation, is so much lower than the school I was at. I can't even imagine under 2% or coming in with a class of 36. That's crazy in my eyes, where I'm used to a couple hundred of us starting each year. So I think I'm all set though. I mean, he feels fine and he's positive he's made the right choice. I just want to make sure that he'll have the resources to turn to when he encounters a problem, because I know he will. I know it's going to be a adjustment and a huge adjustment for him. And the more information I can give him to think about, that will be great. But I really want him to be able to find it himself, because I know he's not going to want to tell me at first because he thinks that I was right. And I know he won't want to tell me that. Right. But okay, but I do feel better. So I do thank you for that. And I myself can't wait to meet you. And I'm definitely going to make sure he sets up time to meet with you as soon as possible. And I've even changed my mind about the boot camp, because at first I didn't really see the value in it. But now I think I'm going to have him do it as well.
Okay, and I know I can't believe we're running out of time. I'm having fun. I mean, we can. I don't think the call will stop at 7. There may be some that want to check out, but I'll sit here if there are more questions beyond 7. But concerning the boot camp, we are doing everything we can to make this an experience that students will value, because it is different if you can't come to campus. And Dr. Gatson is on the line. I'm not sure if she's in a position to talk, because she just had a beautiful baby boy. And usually when she talks, I can hear him in the background. So Jackie, I'm not gonna put you on the spot. If you do want to talk, you can take your phone off mute. Otherwise, I'll continue to talk about the boot camp. Oh wait, the screen just changed. Okay, so the boot camp is going to engage students in an engineering project that's similar to the car. In the past, they built a car and they had to race it. But we have a project that will connect to the car that we can do during the boot camp. That's a virtual project. It's been offered at Purdue for 3 credits, but we are offering a very modified version of it, and we're going after 1 credit hour. So at least they'll have a credit bearing class, and we're expecting the students to ace that, which would mean they'll start their semester with a 4.0. At least that's my goal. And we'll still go through the chemistry, the math lab, the calculus. They'll still get the exams, the homework, and they'll be expected to do the work, except they'll be grinding from home. And we will have study sessions and we'll have breakout rooms for each subject. And in that breakout room will be tutors so that anybody that's having a struggle getting through a problem can get the help they need. So we're going to simulate as much of what it feels like to go through the rigor and the time management as we can. And I believe that for the time they're going to spend with each other on projects, they're going to be looking forward to seeing each other for real when school starts. And I think that's going to be a different kind of a bond because they've met each other virtually. Um, Outside of the math lab, calc, chemistry, and the project, they will be expected in the project to do a presentation at the end. And there's a little bit of a competition. And you'll learn more about that when we get that posting out. I think Derek is going to be sending those invitations out. We're only looking for about 30 boot campers to come on board because we want to manage the class size. If more try to apply, I'll try to accommodate that. But we do want those parents that are on this call to be the first to go ahead and grab a spot. I believe the camp cost is $1,500, but the Society of Black Engineers provides scholarships for boot camps. And some of the parents that are on here last year, they went through NSBE, and NSBE basically paid $1,000 per parent. And that was great because for a 5-week program, that's pretty cool. So NSBE has put the link up, NSBE, National Society of Black Engineers. You have to be a member. Membership is only $5, and you do not have to be Black to be a member of NSBE. So I would recommend that every parent have your child, and this happens every year. NSBE knows that students come in and that were not members, and they're interested in the student being a member and extending their membership beyond their first year. So have them go online, get a membership for NSBE. Once they have a membership number, they can go back in for summer bridge scholarships and apply. And I have a very good relationship with NSBE. And I can almost guarantee you, because I'll fight if they don't give every last one of them a scholarship. So please have them go in and apply for that scholarship. And then I will contact headquarters and get the list of who has applied. So some parents elected not to do it.
What was the name of that scholarship?
It's the Summer Bridge.
Oh, Summer Bridge Scholarship. Okay.
Bridge Scholarship. And some of the parents applied for that last year. And I just contacted NSBE this year because I was afraid with COVID, maybe they weren't going to be offering it. And they said everything is still a go. So they do have those scholarships there. So when Derek gets the link out to you, they may need proof that your child has been admitted to Purdue because you have to be an admitted student in order to get a scholarship for that program. So if they've accepted their admittance, I would recommend they go ahead and apply for the scholarship. And I confirm all the names, and yes, these are incoming freshmen, and that should really take that load off of you. And even if the balance of the 500 is not doable for a student, we will figure that out. So don't let that be a deal breaker for anybody if you just don't have it. I think tuition is enough. To have these extra costs don't seem to to feel good to anyone. So we'll work with you on that.
Mrs. Womack,
Yes.
I just want to add that for parents who are interested, students who are interested, they need to apply for the National the National Society of Black Engineers. They need to apply as a NSBE junior member. That's $5, and that will qualify them. They'll have to do that. They'll have to also show proof of their GPA. And so that'll come from the high school. I think you send your transcript. You'll have to send a copy of your transcript, and that will come from the school. And then we'll do the rest.
Thanks.
So not a problem. If you are interested, be sure to send me an email so we can be aware of you and get you on our radar. My email address is my first initial and my last name, dwilliams@purdue.edu.
So you'll be going through conferences, and sometimes there's some glitches. I don't know what happens, but every year it's always something. But if there are glitches between conferences receiving the scholarship, because NSBE will send that check directly to MEP. And then I submit that to the conferences group. So we've had parents that paid up front, and then when the scholarship came, they got reimbursed. And for some parents, that was a little frustrating, but we finally got it done and they got their money back. So just know that sometimes there are glitches, and we do our best to work through those. So we actually covered the areas we wanted to cover. We talked about adjusting to Purdue. We talked about maturity, and I think all the parents covered all of these. Financial preparation, it is hard. There are scholarships out there, but I would like to say there are internships out there as well as co-op programs. So I'm trying to form a partnership. And if I can get that partnership going, I want to be able to offer students an internship opportunity through MEP. We do have a learning community, and the learning community is the academic bootcamp learning community. If they're in that learning community, their first semester classes, as much as possible, will be handled during the bootcamp. So where parents used to have to come and do STAR engagement, we'll do STAR as part of the bootcamp as a cluster. So what we're trying to do there is get as many students in the same class so that they don't walk into a classroom and there's only one. So if they come into the boot camp, we will cluster them into classes, and the boot camp also is a learning community where they stay in the same residence hall, which is Earhart. So for those parents that really want to have that closeness, we are intentional about that for students that want that. So I would recommend that you sign up for boot camp. You have to go online, I believe, and sign up for the learning community. And we do have open seats for the learning community. Students that do the boot camp learning community will also take MATLAB 1 and 2, which is Engineering 131 and 132 in one sitting. And the way they do it is very creative, and they can get out of taking the second semester. Now, I believe all of our students last year, I need to go back and check because I want to see how everybody did, but I haven't heard anything negative, but I do want to go and check that. But being able to get that out of the way is really a good move for students because it allows them to go into more major related classes the following year. And also they're going to have to take a programming class, and it's better to take that class without taking another MATLAB class. And if you don't know what MATLAB is, it's just a coding class. So I'm talking a lot, but yes, the boot camp I would recommend. If they don't do boot camp, we recommend them taking the 180 class, which is taught by MEP. And again, it's a class where when they walk in, everybody in the class looks like them. And for some students, that's a breath of fresh air because it's on a Friday, and we usually open up the semester with pizza, and we have food throughout the year. We invite alums, and we just sort of sit back and talk about, they'll come and say, I was in your seat 5 years ago or 10 years ago. This is what was going on in my mind. So the kids get a chance to have a candid sort of reflection from people that have been there, done that. So again, the recommendations are the boot camp, and there's a boot camp learning community, and also 180. Both are learning communities. And we try to do both of those together to keep the students, give them the opportunity to be in a cluster if they need that. But they also have an opportunity in the broader community to have different experiences. And Dr. Gatson she's already put um, the website for the learning community in the chat room. So I'm hoping you can go there and grab that. And also the NSBE link for the scholarship is in the chat room. Definitely go and grab both of those, take a snapshot of it, and go ahead and go in and put your applications in for that scholarship. What have I missed? Oh, I know what I missed. We can't get off of here without y'all knowing all the team players of MEP. So here's the MEP staff. And I guess we can go here. And some of these individuals are on the call. I don't know if they can come off and talk, but I have Dr. Gatson, if you'd like to say hello. If not, just stay on mute. See, she's supposed to be on maternity leave.
Hi, everyone. I got away from the baby for a quick second, but welcome to those parents that are have accepted their offer. Welcome to those that are considering, and welcome back to those that have students currently with us. It's always exciting to hear perspective, how your students are doing. And we look forward to definitely supporting them once they're here. The links I included in the bottom were the ones that Virginia mentioned earlier regarding the NSBE scholarship. And as Derek mentioned, they have to have a NSBE junior membership. The second link is the link for the actual registration for the online boot camp. And the third is the learning community. So for the learning community, I'll just give a little bit more information on that. We have 52 spots dedicated for incoming freshmen for our MEP learning community, and they're divided into 2 tracks. The first track that Virginia mentioned talks about students who are in the actual boot camp. So they will get first priority. And what that means is those students live in the same dorm. They have a cluster of classes that they take together. The second track is for students who live anywhere within the Purdue residence halls. They're not bound the same courses together, but all of the students take Engineering 180, which is our MEP seminar course. So for some students, they might stay in a different residential hall on campus. We opened it up so that there's some flexibility, but that they could still be in the same learning community. We do have students that might elect to take a different math, or they might elect to take a different science their first year based on if they are in AP credits or if they're coming in as an exploratory student. And so the second track gives some freedom for that if students want to take different classes that are outside the typical first year engineering course curriculum there. So those links are there. It gives more information. And I'll put my email address in the chat if anyone has any questions about any of those programs.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and we have, is Tamara still here?
Do you mind if I quickly ask a question, please?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Okay. I like the program, the boot camp, but I'm just concerned because most of the classes, my son have taken them already. And I'm nervous for him to come down. I know where we live is predominantly white people, but then I shield my kids so they don't really, not that they don't associate with other people, but they don't really mix with a lot of kids out there. So I'm nervous that it might be kind of too quiet So that's why I wanted him to do the boot camp. But then looking at all the courses they have taken is what they are going to take in boot camp. So I don't really know what to do. I'm just stuck because I don't know if I should repeat the classes again, or I don't know what to do.
So what class, where did he take his classes?
Well, he took the classes out of the college here in our city, out of University of Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
Okay.
And so although he have some AP credits too, he have all these AP credits, he have taken all the calculus 1, calculus 2, Chem 1, 105, 106. He have taken speech, mainly all the gen eds, he have taken them.
Okay, and so what would happen with him? Because we've got parents on the call whose sons or daughters took the Calc 1 in the boot camp, but they started out in Calc 3. You know, and all the Calc 1 did for them was reconfirm that what they've already taken, they know, because you have to have that foundation. And all Calc classes are not the same. So it's not going to hurt him to be exposed to it because it's not for credit anyway. The boot camp doesn't offer credit for those classes. It just exposes them to how different exams are at Purdue compared to high school. But in the case of your son, he took the classes at another university. And I think for that, it may be comparable. But for those students that took Calc 1, and they said, I want to take Calc 3, they aced the heck out of the Calc 1 that they took in the boot camp. But if a student said they want to take Calc 3 and they do the boot camp and they can't get through it, they may want to rethink whether they want to go into Calc 3. And one thing that I don't do is tell students, I will give them a recommendation, but they can do what they want to do. I'm not going to force a student to do anything. I had one student that came in with 65 credits, but he took those from a community college. But when he got to Purdue, he signed off on all those credits. So his first semester, he was taking sophomore and junior level classes, and he hit a wall and literally got 4 Fs and a D. And that was devastating because now he had to crawl out of that because you can't erase those grades. But he thought, well, you know, I'll just get credit for this and I'll start. But he's starting with students that have had those classes, and classes build upon each other, and there's no way to gauge for that. A student can come in with that many credits and do fine, or they may not. It's just something that we're now hoping that it works out. But with the boot camp, he will at least get to see, this is what the exams are like, and hey, this is easy for me, and that's good to know. It gives them that assurance that I'm gonna go ahead into Calc 2 or 3, and I should be fine. So I just want to recommend, and even with the chemistry, for a lot of students, they haven't had chemistry since sophomore year in high school. So they're like, oh my God, I forgot all that stuff. So it's a good refresher for them. And the chemistry instructor is a Purdue instructor. So it's good to know that person so that if you do have to take a chemistry class, at least you know people in the department. So I don't know if any other parents want to speak to that, but I don't think it'll be a problem for your son if he does it.
Yeah, I think I would like to actually speak to that if you don't mind. I think that one of the things that we all look at is that people, when our kids have done these AP classes, they're going into college and it's like, okay, they're ahead. But really they're ahead, but they've did the AP class with AP kids in their high school or in the college or in the community college, not at the level of a sophomore student in a school like Purdue. So with my son, what we did, or what he did, I would say, is that he went in and made sure that he did a Calc 1 again. And once he did the Calc 1, he went to Calc 3. Even though he could have started at Calc 3. So he was comfortable, he was able to, navigate that first semester, because there's so much going on in their lives, not just academic, that they have to adjust to, that transition we mentioned earlier. So then once that was in place, he could then, go into Calc 3 in the second semester because he's already qualified coming into Purdue to be in Calc 3. You know, so it's really, I guess, a personal decision, but like, you know, you mentioned you can do that and then start struggling with Calc 3, sitting with sophomores who have, you know, a real solid foundation, you know, compared.
I want to add to that. Taking that Calc 1 when you could have tested out will give you a 5 credit hour A. That is so powerful at Purdue. It'll pump your GPA up in a way that when you do get to the harder classes, you have a cushion. So some students do it strategically. You know, I've seen students that Spanish is their first language, and they came in and took 3 Spanish classes, 3 credit hour, and got 4 A's. And then they took thermodynamics, and those they can do that. And that was a natural language, but they were just trying to pump the scores up as high as they could. So it becomes a math game. When you get to college, it's all about your GPA. How can I maximize the GPA? And that's the game that they have to learn how to play effectively. So strategically, I've had students that could have tested out of English, but English is also a 4 credit hour class. If you took that English for 4 credits and that Calc 1 for 5, that's 9 credit hours of an A. And that's going to give you a solid foundation for the rest of your classes. So it's going to be his choice, but I do recommend that he take it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
I'd also like to add the fact that classes that are transferred from other universities, those grades won't count, so that they won't be factored into the GPA.
Right, and sometimes that's strategically good. So if your child took the classes and got A's in all of them, he would get the credit, but he wouldn't get the grade, which is fine. You know, but let's say a student has a 3.2 GPA and they have to take physics, and they go, oh my God, I hate physics. I don't know, I'm not strong in physics. I would recommend that they take that at a community college, so it does not affect their GPA, and have those credits transferred over. So there are times when strategically you may want to take a class from another school and transfer it in. Or maybe you went home for the summer and worked at a company and you want to knock out a couple of classes. Well, you can do that. As long as you get a C or better, you can transfer those credits over and it will not impact your GPA. So that's, again, part of the strategy of making the numbers work and maximizing your GPA at the same time.
So in essence, the classes it took already at UW, because I already sent them an email that I would like his transcript to be sent to Purdue. So all those credits cannot carry over. Is that what you are saying?
No, the credit will carry, but the grade that was achieved in the class does not register.
Oh, so all those A's. Okay. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Does that help?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I do want to introduce, we have 2 grad students. Well, now I think Bonnie left us. At least we have Vivek. So I want Vivek to introduce himself. Oh, there's Bonnie. Vivek and Bonnie, and I'm going to turn it over to Derek. If you have more questions, you'll have a chance to ask those, but I do want Vivek and Bonnie to introduce themselves. Uh-oh, there he is.
So, hello everyone, I'm Vivek. I am a PhD student in aerospace engineering, and I'm also working as a graduate assistant with MEP. So my main job at MEP is to manage the Academic Success Center. So I work with a lot of undergraduate tutors to make sure that like most of the freshmen have access to academic resources. They have like tutors to talk to, get help with their assignments, homeworks, and even exams. We have review sessions before the exam so that students can like go through all the concepts, revise, and like discuss if any problems they have, as well as like get access to previous exams and any tips that the tutors want to share. So that's my main role at MEP. And of course, I also work with all the summer camps and all the other programs that MEP has.
Thank you, Vivek.
Hello, everyone. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Bonnie.
Okay. My name is Bonnie. I'm originally from Colombia, South America, and I am one of the graduate assistants with the minority engineering program. I'm also a PhD student in aerospace engineering, and I'm very excited to be here with you guys today. I want to say congratulations again on behalf of the MEP team for your children being admitted into Purdue University. Me being a student know how hard it is to get in and to stay in. So congratulations, and hopefully all of you, well, all of your children or sons and daughters make the decision to come and join us at the MEP family.
Thank you, Bonnie. And Bonnie and Vivek are also teaching during the boot camp, and they're hard. They really give the students a run for the money. And we're going to close out with our administrator for all of these programs that we do, from kindergarten all the way up through undergraduate classes. Derek is a very busy person and an asset to MEP. And thank you for putting this together, Derek. So I'm going to let you close us out.
Well, we'd love to thank all of our parents who came out, who participated. Didn't they do a great job?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And then thank you guys for your great questions. Know that we are here as a resource to you. So feel free to, if you go to our website, purdue.edu/MEP, you can find all of us, and feel free to reach out with any questions or concerns that you have, especially at this critical time. As most of you already know, Purdue Admissions has extended the deadline from May 1st to June 1st. So you do have an additional month in terms of making a decision. We're going to close out right now. Thank you guys so much.
And I
Yes.
have a, Derek, do you mind if I ask another question about scholarship?
Sure.
Last week, I missed the third episode, and I don't know if you guys still have the Scully license or whatever it is called, but I watched it and I noticed that Ms. Wookman said that they have to send them an email or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's still possible for my son to get that or not, please.
Yes, it is possible. Did you send me an email today?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to send it back to you. I'll send you the license and the code for him to get in. And all he has to do is go in and get started. And one thing that some of the other parents said, a lot of the Scholly money is need-based money. And if the student has high need, they have a better chance of getting a scholarship than one that doesn't. And I didn't know that. I think that's good because some students just can't afford college. That's not saying that everybody that applies will get one, but there are categories in Scholly, and I think there are about 1,000 categories. And so nobody wants to go through all of those, but the categories represent money that someone has put in looking for a certain trait. They may say, I will give 10,000 to anybody in the 43608 area code. And you don't even know, what's in there, and it's tedious to go through that. But I would recommend that your son go ahead and navigate through as many of those as he can.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate this.
Look forward to meeting you in person. Hopefully one day it'll happen.
Oh, definitely, because when we come to the campus, I would like to meet you guys, so I know that at least my kid is in safe hand. So I will bring him over so we can all meet you.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Are there any other questions before we leave out? I haven't heard from Monty. You just over there just quiet. You got any questions?
No questions here.
No questions? Well, thank you so much. And what about Kristen? You okay, Kristen? Hello? Oh, I'm not sure what happened there. Okay, well, we're here. Feel free to email Mr. Williams or myself, and I hope to see you guys soon. And with that, I must say goodbye. Take care and be safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Great job.
Thank you.